Where you have hello vale kasirugwe ndi Raymond ene simu ya Tamale mirundi amayi Raymond get off very quickly. Bobi Wine is a unique candidate. He is not the usual Zoyogerako and the basic. Go away. Why do you insist that this man will talk to you? What if I'm in the toilet? Or somebody is making it up? When did you want me? Do you know where I am? That I should abandon everything to come and talk to you. You are badly brought up.
Why? Tebunvumya naye kale engeri gyetoloddemu kampiseewo ekirango kyange. Twabawa ebitundu 2 okulangira ku TM na online television. Twabawa ebitundu 2 okulangira ku TM online television. Gwe mwezi ogusembayo ku discount ya 20%. Mbakubiriza mwenna mulete business tuzirange wano ku TM online television. Tabani wa mole n'amatovu mirundi alidde obuwuka. Bava kutwala Mafia wano misinde. Byogenda okulaba. Stay tuned wano nga tukuweereza. Kangende butereevu kuba wuna akomyewo. Program tugitandikirewo butereevu. Mutabani wa mole n'amatovu mirundi yagguse dda nga leero musanze aliko olugendo kyova olaba tuli wano. Ennaku ezibulayo mugwikiriza ne mwambushinga okusobola okutuwa ku discussion naye ndooza kansooke muleka ababuuzeeko then tulyoke tutandike. Wasuze otya ssebo?
Anze njagala okubooza abantu baffe abatugoberera. Every produces it is generous.
Of course.
Naye na luno talwaka luno. Tukoze nnyo.
Kituufu.
We are shaping society. Naye nga remember. Tipologulamu zino bazirwanyisa.
Of course.
One by one. N'oyo omuwala ali mu UCC. Bagobawo gundi oli mutabaazi. Bakaleete kakwate pologulamu zange. Ne bagamba nti bagende ku social media mu YouTube basiwere. But who has helped this country more than me? With the tibayina sente ze bampa. I want the president to tell me over nina budget. I have no budget. I'm sustaining these programs on my own initiative with the some contribution from friends. Do I have a budget? Do I have a ministry where I follow to? No. But this is a personal initiative. Nti abantu benina ku social media bangi.
They follow your channel every day.
Why? In mass communication, a channel must be credible.
Of course.
You must have credibility. Great. Uncle Boz, how many Catholics listen to Sheikh's sermons?
Not. I can't think.
Yes.
I can't think of a Catholic.
That's what we say. You are preaching to the already converted. If you have a strategy, a proper strategy means you must cut across. But the moment you preach to the already who are converted, does it occur, even if a mass is on TV, does the priest who is conducting this mass occur to him that the non-Christians who are listening to him?
Of course he preaches to those abawali. That's what kirowoozaako.
When you bring these sheikhs that are trained in the radical Islamic countries, the sermons to Christians appear to be abusive and inciting. But when the man is in those radical countries which don't recognize Christianity, he's a perfect preacher.
Of course.
kakati bulijjo bw'obanga okola programu yo you must cut across those who, because people know your bias. Many people will know this is Museveni supporter. So how do you, and my interest is not to teach or to give information to Museveni supporters. Those ones we have. Where I have, hello? Kale. Kasiru gwe ndi Raymond ene simu ya Tamale mirundi. Am I Raymond? Get off very quickly. Chemba gamba. The Ugandans don't know how to talk on the phone. Why? You say good morning, sir, or madam. Can I talk to Tamale mirundi? No wrong number. But you start talking as if you were sure. Kati uyu Tamale antawanya. We were Tamales. I have no connection with these Tamales who take all the items.
These guys who buy used items.
Yes. Firiji yangu wagano Jesus, am I connected to them? Why don't you ring and stain the person you are talking to? You ring somebody, rings. You abandon what you are doing only to understand that he's an idiot. He's talking to another Tamale. Some of these people given my number, the criminals, the Banabafiri, Baba win number young. Baba negotiating an a deal in number Tankubira to confirm. Ogedokuli on Messiwa Kubira sim. Motokajo, Twamba the Saint, but somebody on Messenu, Tetubaraba. Why don't you ring me to confirm before? Before you pay the money. Banziyeko sente bomwana wange akola I need you tiranga me. Is that not State House? A number young State House. They cheated them. But why I am there's some arrogant is that you force me to abandon my writing to attend to a ringing number. Secondly, if we ring somebody and you ring 3 times and there's no response, go away. Why do you insist that this man will talk to you? What if I'm in the toilet? Or somebody is making it up? So do you stop and listen to you? Why don't you leave a message?
But people consider as someone who can help them. Yes. That's why mainly they call you all the time.
If you want to talk to a fixed person, you go to the statue of the Virgin Mary at Ruwaga.
Are you serious?
You'll find it there every time you want. Nkwetaga. When did you want me? Do you know where I am? That I should abandon everything to come and talk to you. You are badly brought up. This is why telephone companies are making a lot of money from you. Before you realize that you are talking to a wrong person, you have already
used half of your small airtime.
Yes, be humble.
I wanted.
Good evening.
I wanted to.
Am I talking to Mr. Tamale Mirundi? No wrong number. But you ring somebody for 30 minutes. Are you announcing Jesus is returned? What is so important that cannot wait? What's the problem? Why don't you leave a message instead of disturbing me?
But your government has just introduced technology. People are not acquainted with it. Smartphones.
No,
they are not used to extravagance.
Self-intelligence. A morning phone means, and a night call means that you are disparate. Why do you ring me to tell me at midnight that somebody has died? You would ring me at midnight to tell me somebody is sick, he needs help to go to the hospital. But if somebody is already dead, why do you disturb my Ziyamba? Even if he is my closest kid, he's already dead.
But it's culture to tell people first. It is the culture of Ugandans.
Because for you, what you don't know, what if somebody is relocating Omunala Kwendi? Because the phone can easily tell you whereabouts.
Of course, someone is tracking you. Where you're sleeping.
So the people must have manners. You must know when to communicate. Do you believe that I don't have people I wait? I have people I wait. But some people think that I can abandon. If you are going to talk to me, why don't you follow my programs? That at this time, this man is in the studio. It can't be. Me, I operate on display. When I'm in the studio, I'm in the studio. I would expect somebody who is following me closely to know
that the guy is now speaking on the phone.
At this time,
he has a program.
And the people are arrogant. You ring me in the studio to give me information. That's rubbish. Some people ring you immediately. You are entering the studio to influence what you say. You believe that when I come to make my program, did I make a research about what I'm going to say? So I know these people. What happens if a female voice, a person who doesn't know you, rings you at night with your wife? You can cause a problem in my family.
Yes.
Me, I'm yours. 90% of the people who are looking for me are not business associates. These are disparity fellows. When a lawyer calls you, you ring me. When you say disparity person, a lawyer has called him. Do we share? Am I a partner in that lawyer's company? Why didn't you inform me?
No, you said something about credibility. After losing their money, they think the only credible person remaining is Mzee Mirundi.
Why don't you consult me before you were cheated? So we must have discipline. The problem is that people think transfer their problems. The purpose of my program here, we are remaining with a few days. What we want now is not campaigning. The campaigning is over. Because I've been explaining, in Africa, unlike Europe, in Europe, you can make opinion polls. Newspapers can make opinion polls. Why? Those advanced countries, voters vote using benchmarks, non-benchmarks. The economy is not performing well. All the Americans will vote with their passes. They cannot tolerate a regime that is keeping them in poverty. They know. Yes. These people know.
They use benchmarks.
The benchmarks.
If the economy is not working well.
That's why the Americans have the electoral college, which can override the popular vote. Why? Members of the electoral college know foreign affairs. They know what type of leader does America want as a country. But in Africa, we vote differently. If I can ask you, how many people have perused through Museveni's manifesto?
Of course, people are not interested because throughout time, he's been speaking these things and they don't happen. Why would people have interest?
Can you give me the main issues in the Bobi Wine's manifesto?
Of course, I can't give them to you also.
So a manifesto is a calabash of beer that is taken into a woman's home for introduction.
Yes.
It's a requirement. Whether you have been with a woman for 10 years, whether you are going there for the first time, you must take a calabash of beer.
Of course.
So a manifesto in Africa is just a tradition. But people don't vote according to manifestos.
But I think Bobi Wine's message has...
voting according to manifestos. Their manifestos would be translated in different languages. So in Africa, we don't vote we don't have benchmarks.
Considering manifestos.
Yes. Therefore, in absence of benchmarks, under which Africans vote, you cannot make, no newspaper can have, no research can give you
an opinion.
An opinion, that public opinion. In Europe, when they say the conservatives are losing, they are going to lose. When they say that this president is going to lose, he loses. Because they have the benchmarks. They know that he has already violated this and this.
But of course, the weakness of a voter to refuse to peruse through a manifesto is a personal weakness. But at least a politician has to provide it.
It's not our tradition. Is not our tradition. Africans don't believe in agreement. In America, if you promise something, you tell the voters that I will not levy taxes. You will not levy taxes. In Africa, we have flexibility. What we do, we does not abide in us. Agreement. What about the horse? Look at the horse. When the president is taking over, he pledges to do what?
He pledges to.
What about the lawyers?
To protect the constitution.
What about the judges? What about the witnesses? I swear by the Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth. The truth, nothing but the truth. The witnesses don't tell lies to court.
Of course, it's up to the court to prove whether it is the truth or not.
This is why we have a covenant. Covenants, in many cases, are not written documents. I told you that in Britain, a part of their constitution is not written. It's values and norms. Have you ever seen a constitutional crisis in Britain? What about you people who have written documents? How many times do you amend them?
So many times.
Yes.
But of course, we consider that
covenants,
it's been a favor of one man.
When it comes to covenants, I think it was St. Augustine who talked about a covenant. That the government enters into a covenant with the population. A covenant, not an agreement, not a manifesto. 2, journalism is based, it is assumed that journalists, where they are real journalists, not in Uganda, where they are mafia puppets, journalists have a covenant with the masses, unwritten covenant with the masses, to fight for the voiceless, to fight, but in many cases, in Uganda, this is different.
They serve the mafia.
These days, the remaining days, I'm going not to talk about corruption. I'm not going to talk about the people who have been fighting the mafias. What we have to do now as a country is to mitigate against violence. This is not the first time to have elections. And me, I'm happy that Uganda's election has not been violent. Do you deduct it? The number of people who died during the riot, because the riot is a riot. It's not peaceful riot. But we have not witnessed an incident. Maybe it will occur tomorrow after talking about it. Because our enemies, whenever they hear me talking about an issue, then they do it the following morning. Have you heard an NRM person whose plantation has been cut down? Of course not. But these were the past. They used to occur. Kabaka Ika used to terrorize DP leaders. In 1980, one of the reasons why Semwogerere refused to accept it. The British in 1980 wanted the election to be delayed, to put some structures in place. And they sent George Kanyehamba, this judge you hear him talking about. In 1980, he was sent to Nairobi to convince the Democratic Party leaders to delay the elections until certain inputs were made. Semwogerere refused. Why? First of all, Kanyehamba was suspected. 2, Semwogerere was finding it very difficult to protect these DP leaders. They were assassinated. They were killed. They were harassed by UPC. So, when you compare 1962 elections, 1961, where Baganda turned against themselves, a faction of Kabaka, a party that claimed to be headed by the Kabaka, turned against these people. Enkoko yali tesobola kusala mu lujja muno kulaga mu lulala. Mpulira. No.
Ngo owa DP.
Yes.
Yewalagana n'omuganda yennyini wa Kabaka yekka.
In Mubende. Where a DP man called M.i.S.O was found digging in his plantation. The Kabaka yekka hooligans killed him. N'omukazi ne bamutta. But they left a baby sucking the corpse of his mother. We have not seen this.
Of recent.
Yes, we should congratulate ourselves that you see initially bw'omwana bamutadde omusumali mu kamwa tewamulaba
waliwo ne gwe baakomerera akakofiira
ng'atya
mu mikono.
Crooks who wanted to squeeze money from Museveni. I asked a question in which branch of NRM that this money belong. What activities
had he done?
He was unknown. I helped a woman, a younger girl, whose t-shirt was being torn apart. They were stripping her naked and wanted to rape her. I jumped off my vehicle. I have not seen these incidents now. No, people are mature. And what is security people don't understand. In Uganda, when you say riot, somebody has given money to the rioters. Ugandans cannot stage a riot on their own. It's not there.
Are you sure?
Even workers are given money to go on a strike by interested groups. You force the teachers to go on a strike so that Museveni gives them money for political mileage.
Now, Mzee, shouldn't we be thanking Bobi Wine for this? Because as the state was claiming, Bobi Wine is behind the hooliganism that we have not seen. You are talking about those incidents we have not seen.
You see,
shouldn't we be praising him for...
You see, I think the Bobi Wine phenomenon is different. Because if Bobi Wine is from the ghetto, what does the ghetto mean? Ghetto does not mean a particular area, but the downtrodden. The younger people. The
mindset of those who think.
Being oriented. I wrote a book about the youth. I said, there is no Muganda youth by the time we grew up who expected free things from government.
Of course.
Did the Mengo people have a budget to give to people?
No.
It's only Museveni who has introduced this free money. Free money. But otherwise, as younger people, we are trained to work for ourselves. I have not come across a Luganda proverb that tells a person to wait to be given. Baganda say, poverty is a lion. If you don't fight it yourself, it tomorrow's you. A Muganda will tell you that a poor muko in develops honest. Because in our tradition, we are not supposed to come face to face with our mother-in-laws. Even when you go for an introduction,
you can't meet her anywhere.
She hides in the corner. Because if you tell your wife that your mother is more beautiful than you, where did you meet her? So we were not trained to beg. The traditional process of a Muganda boy was you start at home, get married. Normally, it happened, younger people used to marry, so that the mother-in-law teaches this woman, the Mogole, how to teach food. Because when I grew up with my father, then I adapted the likes of my father. So it was the responsibility of the mother-in-law to teach this younger girl the best dishes or meals that this younger man enjoys. So they started their journey with Fumbiro. A Muganda will graduate from a Fumbiro and buy a Chibanja. After buying a Chibanja, you construct a house. In fact, the people used to tease younger people. Or to organize a kasolia. Okulasa kasolia means constructing a house. This is how Muganda goes grown up.
No, not to beg.
Not to
brought
beg.
Up in a fashion that you shouldn't be a beggar.
But with this government, people, when they talk about youth, what they brought this issue. I always tell you, look what these buffoons. When you look at the buffoons, Ebusia, Ebusitema, Kukaluma, who are used to bananas to be fed by the public, you take them back to the national park, they will die starvation.
Are you serious?
Yes.
They are used to tourists throwing bananas to them. Kubiwa.
Look what is in Kokenzungu. If you don't have food, no zita, tisobola kulia, tizimanyi kutakula. They are made to believe is in Kokenzungu.
But it is Yom 7 that has created this situation.
As I'm telling you,
giving handouts to almost everyone.
Where will Bobi Wine? If it's a question of money, Museveni has given more money than any government to the population. The only thing is that this money does not percolate to the population. Otherwise, where will Bobi Wine get money? That's what I used to tell. Basically, had an advert on TV in 2001. Fabavubuka tuli ku M.i.S.O, tulinda mununuzi. How can you tell younger people that they, instead of going to the gardens and grow commercial crops,
you got to play
remain on M.i.S.O as they wait?
Board games, eh?
Even God used
play board games.
God used to give the population free food coming out of heaven. It's no longer coming. kakati abavubuka baabateekamu omutima ti Bobi Wine bw'ajja ajja bawa ebyobwereere tebiriiyo. One, like Besigye will not come. Did Besigye come? Did Omunuzi come? Omunuzi didn't come. But for you, as you were waiting for the Munuzi, Omunuzi was taking his wife and his son to Europe for studies.
Yes. Was finding jobs for the family in the UN.
In UN. But you people, Olalo Otunu was supposed to be the Secretary General of UN, had been identified by the former Secretary General of UN, Dikwera. He could not get the support of Uganda because he had earlier been appointed by the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Therefore, the new government did not trust this man. The man failed to become, he even went to adopted a citizenship in Ivory Coast. They said, no, you are adopted, you are naturalized Ivory Coastian. But this did not apply to Winnie Byanyima. Winnie Byanyima, who was not only married to Besigye, the moment an opening came in UN, was supported by government.
That's what we call nepotism. There are levels of nepotism in this government.
Gwe totegeera nti Dr. Semwogerere bwe yali atoola omwana we Kalooli Semwogerere okusoma mu America yagenda n'abaani abalala. Tell me that Kalooli Semwogerere tell us that my father secured 10 scholarships to accompany me.
Yatwala babi?
Yetwala wuwe. Kalooli Semwogerere. He's a lawyer in America, is what? But did he pick any DP activist? Even the plane, when you're traveling in a plane, they will tell you, first take care about yourself, even if you're moving with a baby. I cannot allow my son, one of my close children, to be used as a springboard to other people's political careers. I'm telling you. So this is where the problem is.
But Mzee, I'm just questioning this. As you're saying, we should be looking at a peaceful election time. How are people supposed to be peaceful when it is the state bringing this violence to them?
It's not the state.
It is the army shooting at people, LDU killing people in the trading centers.
Museveni has withdrawn the local defense people. Let me tell you. This is a scientific election, but the government was not prepared for a scientific election.
Of course, we had never seen it.
Two, Bobi Wine is a unique candidate. He is not the usual Semwogerere and Besigye. Besigye was 100% an agent of the local mafia. The local mafia did not believe that Besigye win would change the tables. It was going to be life continue.
To be the same.
Yes. Today, this man was identified with the mafias, but two things happened.
But people are refusing to believe he was identified by the mafia.
He was captured by CIA, and the CIA has interests here. Me, I'm a free man. Nobody in the foreign affairs or the president cannot come out and tell you. Me, I know what they are doing here. The CIA agents. Now that Bobi Wine is a unique.
It's not a usual candidate.
You treat him differently.
But they are treating him harshly.
This is why a Muganda man cannot marry Muchotala. A Muchotala, when you tell a Muganda man, we will say, the Muchotala have Visiran. No, the Muchotala does not have Visiran. Or Muchotala to maintain his skin needs expensive cosmetics. A Muchotala does not eat matoke. A Muchotala eats rice
every day.
Every day. So maintaining a Muchotala.
The calculations of the Baganda.
Hey, Kakati Bobi Wine is a different candidate who must be treated differently. But the government doesn't know how. Government has been found wanting. I say a good player, football, soccer player, about M.i.S.O.
Ronaldo.
The moment that man enters the penalty area, he's treated differently by the defenders.
Of course.
Because mishandling him can force you out.
Causes a spot kick.
A red card. Mishandling him can earn you a penalty kick. So this because the focus of the referee is always on this man. The star, the soccer star. This is where the government has failed to understand Bobi Wine, his role, and who are handling it.
But Mzee, when you speak about government, you're speaking about those in power. Why don't we speak about the EC? Because this is a very this is a life-changing time, and the EC should be in charge.
I've already talked about the Electoral Commission. I said that to call it an independent Electoral Commission, independent of who? Because independent is just a name. We call it name calling in the propaganda. The Democratic Republic of Congo, is it democratic? The Democratic Republic of Korea. This is not Korea where there is no democracy.
Those are just terms.
Name, there is a student who had a Christian name, Bright. He scored 9s. Bright. Did the name reflect his brain?
However much you're called Bright,
yes.
It doesn't guarantee
that it was a mistake to appoint this man as chairman of the Electoral Commission, because this is a former DPP. Moi appointed the former DPP Chunga as Chief Justice. He spoiled everything. These people, because it was a DPP, why didn't Besigye raise an issue? They wanted a dead person whom they would do blackmail.
But Besigye is no longer a party president. Why would he poke his nose?
It's not up to the Independent Electoral Commission. It is not up to Bobi Wine. It is up to we Ugandans who should now think about a post-election era.
Of course.
Elections are over now. And I've told you that I hate Ugandans. Why? We have not suffered many election violence cases. Apart from the riots, people have died during the riots.
Of course, escalated by the insecurity. The insecurity created by the security.
Have we seen NRM people losing their properties? Have we seen people, NRM people being stoned on their way because we don't have elections? Have we seen NRM people being targeted?
No.
Why have I decided to make this interview in this vehicle? Look what this vehicle. What's the poster is this?
There's a poster of someone who is in DP.
Yes.
Your wife?
Yes. Do we quarrel?
Mchala Tamale?
Do we quarrel?
I don't know.
Do we quarrel?
Over politics.
My son is in the Democratic Party. Do we quarrel?
You have one in the People Power.
Do we quarrel? It's their choice. This tells you how Ugandans are tolerant. Saying that another interesting thing that Ugandans should emulate. When you go to Wandegea, is where you have one of the largest mosques. Is in Wandegea. And the largest Poko join is also in Wandegea. Have you seen these people fighting each other?
I've not heard those things.
Yes. Until they are incited.
And of course it is just a few meters away from the main mosque.
Until they are incited, peace has prevailed for decades. The mosque, and I was told that man Kasule was a Christian who was abandoned by his Christian friends because he was suffering from a gang. Leprosy. Is it leprosy?
Of course.
So the Muslims picked him up and treated him. And he compensated them by converting to Islam and the Kasule family, prominent family in one day. So unless Ugandans are incited, we are peaceful people. Look what they become. Does it mind whether the head of the clan belongs to any religion? I have seen Muslims being clan leaders.
Of course. Because
in Uganda, we intermarry. We have different sections. A man like me cannot attack a religion. Why? Many of my family members, close family members, are Muslims. So, unless Ugandans are incited, we have this history. It was UPC which incited its people to kill DPs. It was in the 60s that Kabaka Ikaze party, with the support of Mengo leadership, incited Baganda to kill the people on the other side. When Ugandans are not incited, and for us, Ugandans, we don't believe in foreigners. I told you that the most influential embassy in Uganda, I think, is the Vatican Embassy. It owns not the churches, it owns the bishops. But where do you find a strong monument for Americans? Where do we find it? Britain, what does Britain have here? Because Britain also, I think, abandoned the Anglican Church. So I'm not seeing many much of British influence demonstrated in the way these Anglican bishops are doing. In fact, when it came to deciding whether to abandon BCS money, homosexual money, many churches, many church leaders in Uganda, because of our tradition, decided to cut off relationship with the American churches.
Yes. We have a culture to keep.
Ziyamba. It helps us unless we are incited by prominent people, by foreigners. Ugandans are not easily incited. We've gone through it. We had Idi Amin. We are helped by the Tanzanians. And the Tanzanians had tolerated the Amin for 9 years. It was after Amin invaded their territory and annexed Kagera that they realized Amin's problem. Did the police help us?
But
the police helped Amin to come to power.
Shouldn't we be advising these guys who incite people? Because one of the things that might lead us into what you don't want us to, where you don't want us to go, is rigging the polls and declaring wrong candidates.
I'm coming to this. Why do you believe that Bobi Wine has a must to win? Because normally, what I'm seeing in Uganda, President Museveni is not interested in rigging elections. In fact, even the decision by the Electoral Commission adversely affected Museveni more than Bobi Wine. Museveni was observing the rules of addressing delegates. Museveni, whenever he wants, he calls a press conference. So Museveni did not violate the rules.
He has the resources.
But we have a third force that could easily assassinate Bobi Wine to plunge the country into chaos. Who are these people? Bobi Wine is people. Bobi Wine is surrounded by crooks. Yes.
How?
A man like Mbide. Mbide who incited the population against the Indians. When the price of sugar rose up, Mbide was later accommodated. But instead of going to prison, we found Mbide being sent to the East African Community Parliament. Curtis of who?
The NRM.
Look what Mabike. Mabike led a demonstration of younger people to attack UNEB headquarters, where 10 died. Mabike was saying that Sebagala had academic papers. Instead of arresting Mabike, Mabike was rewarded by NRM. Yes.
But he's a DP member.
I'm telling you.
Rewarded by
the
NRM.
Away from DP and formed the Social Democratic something. Where do you find Mabike?
It's a DP.
So these are the areas that as Mabike visited, did Sebagala visit the families of those people, the 10 boys who died, who were killed? Who remembers them?
I don't know.
Yes. Seba Besige was supposed to go to Jinja. And because these are illiterates, these are people who want to impress that Besige is very important, they said we must sweep the highway from Kampala to Jinja. They were ran over by a speeding car because there was no signpost to show that men were walking ahead. As the Besige visited their homes, what about the Mengo people? When Museveni was gutted by fire, they did not want Museveni, they incited the population against Museveni. As Museveni went to visit the Masiro, an unknown gunman shot dead 10 innocent Baganda.
But of course, those are government gunmen. Guns belong to government.
Mengo organized a requiem mass for them.
No.
Does Mengo declare them as Buganda heroes?
No.
And here they are heroes. Kabaka knights people. Has any of these people knighted?
No.
Immediately after the death of these innocent boys, the then Katikkiro Engineer Walusimbi went to Museveni to ask for Mumuli for development, not compensating the lives of these people
who died.
What about the report that was the government instituted a committee to investigate the M.i.S.O fire? Has the report been publicized? Is Mengo pressurizing the government to publish it? No. So it's Olw'Embeera. Is we people, is we the parents of these people who should give them guidance as after, you see, Baganda have a proverb, Nsegula mirambo, but they add, Nsegula mirambo nga temufiride mu. If, have you seen Mulangira dying in the fracas? Even when during the Buganda riots, did you see Balangira participating? Did you see the Katikkiro's son involved? They went to attempted to reach my mother. What had my mother done? These people. That this is the man who supported Museveni, who supports Museveni. How was I paid by NRA? Bundled me out of State House in a humiliating manner. Subjected me to negative articles. Now you cannot He's mad. Everybody is now running to me. Mirundi have the largest following.
Of course.
Don't create violence. I say no. I don't lead lectures because I've done it myself. This is my vehicles. That's the Mercedes Benz. It has a poster of my wife. This one has a poster of my wife. There's a pickup. It has a poster for my wife. Her supporters come here, and my supporters come here.
Of course.
Who washes my t-shirts? The NRM t-shirts and in Kufira.
I don't know.
So I don't need anybody to lecture me about tolerance because I've already demonstrated this in my family. Have I chased away this son of mine? I call him.
The one of Nope.
Yes. I call him and tell him don't participate in the hooliganic activities. No.
Participate in constructive activism.
Have you seen all of those who have been arrested in rallies where has any of Bobi Wine's relatives been injured in any fracas? Where are they? Where are they? Do you take a time to ask? At least Museveni has a son in the army. When the time came to attack Galamba, he led the team. But these people said it was God had already run away. But they stormed the Galamba. It was a publicity exercise, for the first son. But at least went there. This man during the Falkland War, Prince Charles, an helicopter pilot, went on the British ship. Yes. But where do you find the children of these people who are inciting you to riot?
But Jose, let me tell you, aren't you aware that Bobi Wine campaigns with Bobi and his son in Kampala?
Yes.
He normally goes with him everywhere.
This is his wife. But
even his children have not fled the country.
Why are they not injured?
Of course, as a politician, they are a little bit different from other people.
That's what I'm telling you. What different are they? Does Bobi Wine have green blood?
No, they are loved because he's a presidential candidate. People love him.
They are moving with their wives because their wives will benefit. They become first ladies. What will happen to you?
Who is rioting?
Hey, if you cut down somebody's attention, will it change the results? That if you people win, if Museveni wins, we shall vent our anger on United supporters. The people you want to vent your anger on are not in the electoral commission. Have not you kill my what if they had killed my innocent mother? Does she know even what I'm talking about?
No.
Does she follow?
She's not even aware what is happening online.
Yes. So this is what we should tell.
You know, Mzee, you know why people like you is that you don't simply come up and talk about this and that. You show the other side, the mistakes they have done and this other side.
Auntie,
but for this case, you don't tell us what should people do to people from the government taking away their freedoms.
In politics, we have 3 types of people. We have the flatterers, who will say, Mr. Museveni was for 90% when they are looking for his money. If Museveni enjoys 90%, why do you carry out campaigns there? You have already won. The flatterers, the conmen, want money.
The Anites. I'm the gateway to Koboko.
Even that one, as if they come to see Bobi Wine as a Muyimbi, does he end his rally with a gala, a music gala? Bobi Wine is a known musician. So you cannot say that when these
people have come to see a musician,
they come because even if they come to show Muyimbi, they are singing Muyimbi, who has graduated from zero, who has taken on the horns of the government.
An inspiration.
And yes, that's why you see many artists involved in elections.
Yes.
Many musicians in the old days, musicians would just be restricted to entertaining the population. They are now having slots
everyone is coming up with in elective politics.
Because if the Bayimbi can, it means that's why I don't attack Bobi Wine. When I abuse Bobi Wine, Bobi Wine has gone through several
preparations phases.
Attacked him, immediately came out. You bow to people like Kusasa, you thought we are holding his the song of
following.
The money faded. And the Baganda have a proverb. Once you see a lion or a wild animal, you chase it, you make an alarm, it continues coming. Then prepare for your death. Because you are afraid to scare it away.
Of course.
Yes. So for me, this is why I have a large following. I also witnessed an incident in my village when I was young. When Amini took over, he kept his army on and the population on anti-Obote sentiments. Even Museveni reveals in his book that it was difficult for him to get recruits for NASA. Recruits in Ankole. Why? Many people believed that Amini was a good man because Obote had stepped on many toys. But Amini established a number of military detachments alongside the border. An incident occurred in my village near the Botokola border. A soldier went and bought a prostitute. The husband of that prostitute pretended, deceived the soldier that was a Muko. So when they went in the plantation to have sex, because there were no lodges at that time in those areas, he left his gun with the man, the husband of the woman, who was jittery. The man threw the gun inside the pit latrine. So on his return, the boy was nowhere to be seen. The jittery husband, who had deceived the soldier, that was actually Muko.
Brother-in-law.
What at that time, even today, to lose a gun, a soldier fears even to go to the barracks once his gun is lost. This is why in Uganda, when you look at murder cases, most of the killers are not soldiers. The soldiers have responsibility over their guns. We have a factory that produces bullets. Have you seen bullets stored on the streets of Kampala? In the darker place,
on the black market,
like Congo, like Somalia. The soldiers protect their guns. The soldiers protect their items. So this man went back to the barracks. It was called the Sanj. I had the barracks in the Masaka. Suicide regiment in Masaka. We had a barracks near Chotera. We had a barracks in Sanje. We had a barracks in this sugar factory Sangobe. And then we had a barracks at the border. So this man went to Sanje barracks and reported to his friends. Couldn't report it to his seniors because he would be locked inside. He came with his friends, traced the man, killed him, So we faced a problem. The only person who knew I had thrown this gun had been killed without revealing. Sanje was sealed off. Even vehicles that were traveling, passengers who were traveling to the border, were stopped, disembarked, and sent to search the gun. A saying in my area says, "Chino bakinonyeza ng'emundu y'essange." Why? Because the person who knew where the gun was killed first. It took about a week. Everybody, there was no digging, even the passengers. The whole area was sealed up for sand. But eventually the gun was discovered in a petira tree. But after big subjected to Chiboko everywhere. So in a country, that's why we say, even when you study the story of Sodom, God asked, "Do you have 3 remaining people to save you?" There was none. Except Onani, Noah. The rest were spoiled. We cannot allow us. I looked at this situation. I said, let me remain a voice of reason in the government. Nobody can tell me, you cannot go to the president and say Mirundi supports Bobi Wine. If Museveni, if me supports Bobi Wine, who else? Then it means Museveni has lost. He's like your mother. When a witch doctor says you, that your mother bewitches you, then you should die.
Of course.
Who likes you?
More than
if your mother is also looking for your life. So for me, I thought, I knew that with all the malice against me, I decided to have to be the voice of reason. A voice of reason tells you what is bad in the government and what is bad in the opposition. This is why I have this large following and credibility.
People are saying that on the election date, as you vote, you stay to secure the votes. Once you cast your vote, Bobi Wine has that campaign that you please stay, such that these guys don't rig the polls.
Why do you stay? Why do you stay?
Because the government has a bad record of staffing ballot boxes.
Staying there is wrong. And the government must make it abundantly clear. When elections are stolen, rigged elections, we have a fully-fledged court system.
Which, of course, you control.
How?
It is Museveni who controls the courts.
Well, no.
He has elected almost all judges and so many.
Mwanga Chifumbi defeated Chikulukunyu. And NRM, man, and even Kavuma, who a judge who was supposed to have leanings with the opposition, with the government, supported the other judges that the elections had been rigged. And we have given power, financial muscle to the judges. Yes. This is why, because Museveni knows that his election can be nullified by the judges. An example has been done in Kenya, our neighbors. It has been done in Malawi. What will prevent our judges? But the problem of the opposition, if people like Mwanga and other opposition people win elections, then they win cases, they don't say that the judiciary is fair. When an NRM man defeats you, Museveni defeats you in an election case, petition, you say the judges are his. When do they become his?
You see,
I don't agree with Bobi Wine. Bobi Wine is provoking you.
A repeated occurrence of an event.
It should be people like
creates evidence that
what will you do? What will you do to remain behind? What will you do? They have selected your agents. Why don't you select the competent people? I know. If you read my magazine, I've pointed out that these people, the mafias, want to rig elections in favor of Bobi Wine, especially parliamentarians. I told you that no, a political party on which is sponsored Bobi Wine, belongs to the mafia gang. Where did Bobi Wine get this party? Their reasoning,
he talked to Chivalama.
Their reasoning is that Museveni controls MPs under NRM. What they should do is to have an independent party where they will not control, which Museveni cannot control. So my area of concern is that there is no reason why it should hang around, because hanging around on the polling stations is not a guarantee. You have already sent representatives. Do we keep ourselves as husbands in the kitchen to see what our wives are cooking? We respect them.
But for this case in an election, Mzee, that has had a bad record of people stuffing those papers,
but stuffing,
you should be. You've been here, Mzee. You have seen people struggling at the polling station.
I suffered. Why? Because at that time I did not have enough money. I don't have structures. If you are allowed, your representatives are allowed. A person who believes in the values of Kyagulanyi, a person who believes in the values of the candidate, what else do you want? Why do you remain there? Do we enter labor rooms to witness how our wives deliver? The same people have privileges. Do you enter the intensive care unit? I also heard that this woman who died in the MOP, the women representative of Chotia district, has doctors. They were not allowed there. So that's the provocation. It should dawn on Bobi Wine that what you need to do is to put trust, because there are measures. If you cheat me, how can you cheat in Uganda? Because even if your representatives are given money, on addition to your agents, why do you keep these angry mobs on in polling centers? You have picked representatives. You pick people who cannot be bought. In fact, when Bobi Wine won the constitution, when you read one of my books,
it is difficult to pick people who can't be bought.
I said that my children told me that Bobi Wine was going to be bought. I said Bobi Wine will not be bought. Bobi Wine has not been bought. Has outsmarted his mentors. And that's why he has dwarfed everybody. So why does, because putting agents on your people, did Bobi Wine send the people, the representatives, when they were cutting constituencies? This is the final stage. He was not involved in creating constituencies. Was he represented? In 1989, there was an argument that the Electoral Commission should have representatives from political parties. Kitaliko, a former Secretary General of the Democratic Party, was there. There was a man of Uganda Red Cross, was a known UPC. Did Museveni win?
He won.
We must agree on the principle.
As Mzee, you speak about provocation.
Otherwise, we would be saying that if I eat at your home, I must send the representatives to witness
in the kitchen.
I told you about the president's visit. When the president visits a country, he has entrusted his security to the host country.
Of course.
He does not go with the soldiers. How many soldiers does he take? Assemblies. So that one, I don't agree with it. That after the elections, these people should remain there.
You're talking
because
about...
when you say that these people are going to remain here, even the NRM people will remain here. And as a result, they will have confrontation.
Provoke each other.
Are they going to remain idle there? Or they are going to exchange bitter words?
Of course.
So me, I don't believe in this. When Bobi Wine entrusts the Electoral Commission, he must entrust it. And there is a limit day. You go to court. Museveni got 9 out of 9 judges. Why? He did not commit any election crime. Have you seen Museveni dishing out money? I brought 20,000.
Of course, I don't know.
The president, even in writing, he told me to publish my books. They are remaining there. Maybe because of the nature of what? Of the election. That this time, the judges gave us benchmarks. So staying around will create trouble.
But Mzee, the same people that gave us the same people that gave us guidelines you want Bobi Wine side to follow are the same people that allowed the opposition to campaign.
Yes.
How could even the army bundle Bobi Wine out of Sese in a helicopter? That was his right.
The Electoral Commission membership, although I have some reservations, but these are Do you believe that the people who mark exams are not teachers? Are they imported from Kenya?
Don't
they have students? What about schools that provide accommodation to these examiners? There are things that you should do as long as there is a remedy. The remedy here is that Bobi Wine and his group, almost Museveni and his group, anybody who will feel aggrieved will go to court. So why do you keep these two groups eyeing each other for a whole day? It will be an explosive situation.
But it has been happening before COVID, that people normally stay around and wait for the counting of the polls later in the day.
Yes.
It's only COVID.
But
were they fighting before?
Provided for in electoral law that after voting, the two sides remain around. The election law provides for agents. Do you ensure that you have credible agents who will not be bought, because the fear is that they will nullify the results. Two, what we know, because the register was exposed, people went to check their names. We know how many voters do we have. So if the voters are more than the registered voters, have they grown? Have they carried out another registration exercise? All of these are safeguards.
Of course.
We have safeguards. And I hear they have lawyers. Segona is one of the best lawyers in town. Why can't he guide them? Because that arrogance presupposes that Bobi Wine will be cheated. Why are you going to be cheated? Why hasn't Museveni said that he will be cheated? Because why do you believe that you have the support?
But he normally says there are opposition people who are planning to rig the elections.
Yes, because look what the Electoral Commission, the senior people in the Electoral Commission were sacked, and no replacement has been made. Have they gone to court? There were cordials? No. So therefore, that point, we don't need the people. This is a strategy by these younger people. When they see somebody, especially Westerners, in areas like in Uganda, they create chaos there. No, everybody should be allowed. That's one. Two, I've talked about contingent plans. One, me, I'm ahead. I'm thinking about the post-election, not an election itself. The post, what will react. People, one, should accept the outcome. The outcome is not final. The outcome can be nullified by courts of law, depending on the evidence you bring. The judges are well
equipped and financed.
Finance. You can now, in America, a judge is a judge for life. These ones have been given their money. I think we can have an independent judiciary now. They don't fear. They are protected unless they are impeached. So therefore, that one.
But can you imagine, say, the appointing authority still remains with the power to appoint other judges, even when he's a candidate?
That would be different. That would, if Museveni appoints other judges. Do you know how we get judges? Judges come from the Judicial Commission. And in Uganda, I've been telling you, you cannot graduate from magistrate to a judge. How? Where do you find a deputy headmaster who cannot become a headmaster? In Uganda, judges are picked from lawyers, especially those who have non-functioning
chambers.
Yes. Why don't we have? Why is it not a chronological ladder?
That once you reach this step in the judiciary,
why are you condemned to being a chief justice? So that's one. It is now time bad. To talk about those things, to raise the judges, we would have even proposed that a bench, but you have the Constitutional Court, you have the Court of Appeal, you have the Court of what?
High Court.
The time now is all over. It's over. We look ahead. My second point in my message of mitigating against violence, one, let everybody accept. I have said elections are like taking a patient to hospital. You must accept the eventualities because the hospital inoculated you. We call it inoculation theory. You inoculate people for bad news. Once you say mortuary at the hospital, what does it mean? It means the people die, some are cured.
Of course.
So when your wife dies, you don't beat up doctors. In an exam, we know that we have failures and we have
those who will pass.
No person, parent, who can go to school and ban it because
their children fail.
Yes, you accept the results of your neighbor. We must accept the results. In the soccer, when a team is defeated without the partiality of a referee, people consider defeat. I told you that Express had violent fans. Britain has violent fans. But when Britain is defeated fairly, what happened to Brazil?
In this case,
Brazil team was eliminated fairly. But the Brazilian fans who expected that by hosting it,
they will be winning
it, they turned against their coaches. This was the problem. They turned normally when a team loses unfairly, people blame the fans. That's why the fans are taken away by the police. That's why in which country, Colombia, a person who missed the penalty kick was shot dead. It was not the referee who was hunted down. So therefore, that's one. Two.
But in case of unfairness, we are not discussing normal stuff. We are discussing about the unfair side.
The courts are open.
Of course.
We have even the East African Court of Appeal. I've heard this man.
You demystified.
Taking useless cases to the East African Court of Appeal.
He said it is.
This man.
We have not put our sovereignty to them. Why would you refer to it now?
This man, the one who Bobi Wine defeated,
no,
the one who Bobi Wine defeated, had taken Njuba, his opponent, to the East African Court of Appeal. That's why the Njuba family was annoyed. And the NRM did not detect it because NRM rules say that once court nullifies your case without stopping you from running, then you are the right candidate because you're going through the primaries. This is where NRM lost. Maybe if NRM went back to the primaries, we would have got a different candidate. So that one was there. Two, what are the virus mitigating institutions? The problem in Uganda is that all the institutions that would mitigate, would cut across, have destroyed themselves.
Have been infiltrated.
Mengo, for the first time since the 60s, Mengo has not featured prominently in elections. But fortunately, an incident that attracted my attention occurred when Bobi Wine attended the mass at Rubaga. Because the argument was Bobi Wine can be poisoned. Langa is supporting the president for extending the elections.
So they will put poison on the hostia.
Make a statement without you have to analyze their because for them a religious leader can create and make a statement for harmony. He does not look at the placatability of the statement because they are not politicians. The head of the Anglican Church, Archbishop Kazimba Mugalu, said Bobi Wine should be allowed to continue his campaigns in those areas where the Electoral Commission has not had stopped campaigning. The Electoral Commission made it. It had a point which messed up. Why do you allow this idiot in Kawempe to make it to announce that you will not allow people to canvass support in the area? And the Electoral Commission comes on the heels of this idiot. I call them idiots because they don't know how things are done. Why don't you get medics?
He's an RDC.
Yes, who is he? He's a deputy. Why is he not a minister? When you are gauging society, you can gauge intelligent people. When you say, I always ask people, opinion polls, have they asked you? Who are the people they have asked? Many of cases, I'm chair.
What are the parameters?
The Electoral Commission had a point which messes up itself. The Electoral Commission would rely on medics. There would be a medics conference evaluating the COVID scourge in Uganda, and they will come with evidence and statistics. But you cannot use somebody, an idiot man in Kawempe, and you jump on him. They even called me. I abused them. Me, I am not being used. You cannot use me. The medics, you see, they had a point. When we started, these countries, Kenya, where Mali, where they carried out elections, the infection rates at that time were low. Today is rampant. Infections are rampant. The only reason why they don't tell us, they ate the money. They ate this money. Where do we bury now? Where are the cemeteries?
They
why are they not coming to collect your associates as they used to do? Why are they not talking about isolation centers? The money was eaten. As a result, all the measures they had put in place to prevent COVID-19 have been abandoned. Even the people thought that it was Museveni. Now I have credible information. Don't think that I did not tell you. The rockets on their way back. The rockets have been sighted from Saudi Arabia. Their way back. We should not make a mistake of going through Ministry of Agriculture. No. The Nzige were handled by General Kavuma with the soldiers using a bomb. They should be equipped with the detective machines. The bombers should be in place. There should be the army should procure the right
equipment,
including we call them what? Pesticides. Not to go through Ministry of Agriculture. No. Ministry of Agriculture, those are bureaucrats. I have been informed that the rockets are coming.
Is there a law that allows the army to equip itself without going through a given ministry?
In politics, the end justifies the means. That's why the Baganda said, never talk about the expensiveness of a medical doctor as long as it can cure. So what I'm telling you, but Kazimba, the agency man, looks at fairness. He says, allow Bobi Wine to carry out rallies in those bandy areas. But as the religious leader is aware, in those areas, he has the churches there. How are churches administered? They are still observing COVID rules.
Of course.
They don't allow more than 200
people.
So,
in charge.
If the Archbishop of the Anglican Church is aware of what is going on in those areas where he has churches, is Bobi Wine more powerful than God?
No.
If you have put up measures that have your prayers to God,
yes, to facilitate prayers with your own people,
violate these rules
when it comes to politics.
Two,
I understand.
I would come out to condemn these measures if they allowed Museveni or his people, one of the competitors, to continue
while blocking others.
Then it becomes a wrong weapon. Another area where the Electoral Commission has messed up itself is accreditation for journalists. Why do you bring in the money element? The money element means that the mafia gang is looking for money. And when you are looking for money, it means if you charge,
you compromise
400,000 per person who will be accredited. It doesn't Bobi have this money.
Of course, he has
sorting his own people.
All of us will find the money and get accredited. It's a project for money.
How many times have we done this? You must explain. Why do you believe that a person needs accreditation to cover? How? Do we need the only organized place where the police will chase you is at
media center,
election center. But the moment you don't allow me to cover, create a briefing place for me. Do we attend all the functions?
No.
Journalists don't attend the functions. I used to travel with the president, but Museveni would just make introduction remarks about Amawulire bange mufulume. This is Museveni. Because you can have a minister who can brief you later. What would be important to me? Accreditation would be for journalists who are going to go to the
Tally Center.
The Tally Center should be at the Electoral Commission headquarters. The Electoral Commission headquarters, in fact, we should have a law. Newspapers should not carry anything to do with elections results. Provision results have seen. Newspapers have taken it to themselves to declare more popular candidates, depending on what. These are lines you find in Buked, in New Vision.
A government paper.
These are candidates of the Mafia gang. Yes, even the newspapers.
So you're telling us the newspapers should be stopped from declaring provisional results?
Nobody should be allowed to declare any results, whether provision, the results should be cleared by the Electoral Commission at the headquarters. It will be hearsay because you are not a witness.
Of course.
Hearsay.
That will be fake news.
That's why I attacked the NRA when the NRA say that they will create their Tally Center. If you create your Tally Center, you have voted a no confidence vote in the Electoral Commission. What will prevent Bobi Wine and other group not to have their Tally Centers?
Of course.
So the Electoral Commission, instead of making all of these blunders, they should make one thing. Nobody in Uganda should publish. Mwanga's intervention was motivated by the fact that DP claimed the victory even before when other areas were still voting. When you hear Masaka Kayinja, Kayinja is biased. Or CBS Kayinja, he is a biased man. Can Kayinja cover all of the areas? What these correspondents are going to get is falsehoods from candidates who claim.
So isn't that curtailing freedom of speech?
Yes. What happened?
Freedom of expression and speech.
Do you know that when the American armies, these British armies who usually fight outside their countries, do you know that journalists or correspondents are embedded in their armies? They put on military uniforms.
Of course.
And whatever they say is cleared by the military. What happened? Saddam Hussein tricked the Americans. He had a bank where he put children and women. And he put on the top of that bank, he put there a military tank. The American warplanes saw that Saddam Hussein was hiding there. They sent a smart bomb that blocked the entrance point, and many people died. Europeans don't want to see corpses of women and children. The public opinion in America was standing against Bush. What did Bush do? American warplanes targeted the Ejizira and killed the journalists inside.
Serious?
Yes. During the Gulf War, you can find the information. Ejizira was targeted by American warplanes. Why? It had become a legitimate target. That's why government switched off CBS. Because CBS was inciting the people during the Bukanda riots. The same way what the Americans had done. But the problem here is that government does not have the people to explain this, to defend these actions. I'm not seeing anything wrong by ensuring that we have one channel of communication as far as announcing the results are concerned. The accredited journalists would be at that study centers. In fact, government should find out in these remaining days whether this man at the Electoral Commission has an efficient communication system to send him information. In Kenya, they bought an expensive machine. I don't know how, I have forgotten his name. But it failed to work. It was brought, two countries in Africa bought it, where all of the tallied results would go to the Electoral Commission. It failed. And there is no law about this. A law would have been enacted to tell you, even the method of communicating the results from the villages, the rural areas, to the electoral commission. The law is not there.
Your government has lost credibility. That's why people will not follow what they may be. The image has been tarnished.
My second point is the in absence of parliament, in absence of institutions that cut across, the elders forum was intended to get elders slots in the parliament by Ogola, because Ogola had nothing to do, as other competent judges were being recruited for
overseas tasks.
Ogola, who is a poet, remained here without a job, so he had to find himself a job. The elders council. Now with that, Bobi Wine has gone to Rubaga. And this man, the Archbishop of Rubaga, has also retracted his earlier statement. This can be a basis for the religious leaders to intervene in the case to create a strong mitigating institution. How can they do it? The religious leaders should convene immediately their meeting, iron out their differences that are the reason from one statement, where each religious leader disassociated himself, compose itself, and have an agenda. They can visit all of the presidential candidates or invite them. They can invite them at tea or a dinner to talk to them about the future, to teach them about countries that have entered into election violence and the countries that have managed the aftermath
of the election.
After the election violence. You go to Ghana. Ghana, they had their election last, I think 2 weeks ago. The ruling party got 51%. They defeated their rivals by 1%. But things are moving in Ghana because both the Ghanaian opposition and the ruling party, they know if I miss now, I will get it next time. Bobi Wine is still young. Museveni is retiring. Why do we kill ourselves? What Bobi Wine has to do, look at Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta lost when Kenyans believed that it was a proxy for Moi. They did not want Moi to rule Kenya by proxy. They defeated Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta rebranded himself, abandoned the camp. As I call, Bobi Wine should abandon the Mafia gang. He must even start this party. Because can Bobi Wine manage this party? No. That belongs to government, to a Mafia wing. What if they call a delegates conference and remove and change leadership? Will Bobi Wine manage his MPs when he's not in the parliament? So all of these things must be handled. The religious leaders group can convene this meeting and have an agenda. Talk to all of the candidates before the elections. Teach them about peace. And we should have people who are knowledgeable. The other day I was watching UBC. UBC government institution, where younger people were dancing themselves naked. Prime time, when he would be airing Museveni's achievements, because the opposition has failed to take advantage of the airwaves. They are not going to TVs. They are not doing what? So the government would have taken over this time to send their people, but defending government is not easy. That's why I don't defend individuals. I defend Museveni alone, because that one I can manage to defend him. So that is the second point. We should see the loss in Kenya. People killed themselves in 2007. They changed the next election. Next election, a Kenyan Chief Justice, Malaga, nullified the elections. Why? Because of bad blood between Raila and Uhuru. People died in Nairobi, demonstrations. Raila and Uhuru are moving together now.
Exactly.
When Uhuru and Raila,
after deaths of thousands of people,
Ruto took power, they used to dress in the same shirts, same trousers, call themselves names. Are they seeing eye to eye now? Raila, who was causing trouble, in Nairobi, causing strikes in Nairobi, is now dining with Uhuru. When you read history, the French army under Napoleon captured the Papal State, and 300 French soldiers died. When Napoleon decided to return the Papal States to the Pope, the commander of that operation was called General Ney, the bravest of the bravest. Napoleon asked his commander, why are you not happy at this ceremony? The man said, I'm not happy because this function cannot be witnessed by the 300 French soldiers who died when we were capturing the Papal States. They were not there. The people who died in Raira inspired violence are not now there. But Raira
who
is moving.
Who provoked people.
Who provoked people.
Who cut themselves with pangas.
He's now on the dining table.
Dining with the enemy.
And every effort is being done to ensure
with the former enemy
succeeds in Mukutu.
At his old age.
But the innocent Kenyans, the Kenyans all lost their businesses in Nairobi. Have they benefited? Even if today,
I'm not sure.
Even if Museveni tells you today to compensate those who died in the riots, the mafias will put their different names.
The list will be filled with ghost.
You will steal the money.
With ghost death.
They will start changing. The Monitor newspaper carried a list of those who had been died. Today, if Museveni directs any of his assistants, aides, to pay the money, money will go to different people. This is what the peasants should know. Also, I think the government should consider, before the elections, releasing political prisoners, those who have been arrested during these rallies.
That's very nice.
Who have not committed serious offenses, like a murder.
A riot is a riot. And people...
Because my sources indicate that the American government has received a report from women who were arrested when Bobi Wine went to Kalanga and massacre. And there are serious allegations that these women have been molested in some way or the other. If the government is not aware that the report has been filed to the American government to the effect that those women were raped, they should investigate. Why do you arrest women? Are they rebels? Are they what? These are blunders they are making. Bobi Wine went with these women. Why did he go with these women? In my opinion, they knew. They knew Bobi Wine before he went to Kalanga and knew your reaction. Bobi Wine knew your reaction.
You would be falling in his trap.
Why do you keep women in custody with the soldiers? I know. I went to address 2,000 women in Wakiso. I always raised this question. I said, there are issues, achievements that we don't talk about Museveni's achievements. The women were guarded by soldiers, male soldiers, 2,000 women. There was no single rape case. Our soldiers in Somalia. In Somalia, the moment you rape a Somali girl or marry her, you are finished. Why have we remained there? Why do you put women in the barracks? Why do you put women in the barracks? In fact, the information I have, if you do, the government or the UPDF, what it should do, headed by the spokesperson of the army, who is also a woman, married woman, they should visit the barracks. If this woman is real, that's in the barracks, and check them whether they have been molested or not. These are areas we should take advantage. We should not avoid. But when is headed, is being sponsored by a big power. Why don't you? Where does he get this vigor? A man survives a bullet there. The following minute goes. A man survives a bullet there. The following minute. What drives this young man?
But
me, I can even suspect
the need for change. People want to change.
When is being monitored by American satellites. I'm telling you. I cannot rule out the fact that Bobi Wine is being monitored by American satellites. Where does he get this courage? Next time you will get sanctions. You are going to get no fly zone sanctions like Gaddafi. Gaddafi messed up with the 6 bombs who attacked a police station in Benghazi and stole only 6 guns that could be handled by the police. He sent there about 20 tanks as if there was a rebellion. He fell into the hands of the American French president, the former French president, whom he had paid the money for his campaign. He's having troubles, but Gaddafi is dead. The man, Baganda said, Omukalukalu Tajabuse. Sankos wanted to punish Gaddafi, to eliminate Gaddafi. Why? Because Gaddafi has incriminating evidence that had given money to Sankos for elections, which was a criminal, a serious offense, election offense in France. It would have been, as things stand today, it could be that the French security agents incited these 6 boys in Benghazi to attack the police station
and get the arms,
guns,
such that they get reason.
And he knew who advised Gaddafi. You may think that it was the French, that Sarkozy himself, who told Gaddafi that this is a serious what? A serious attack.
You pull out the
yes. There was a woman, an ambassador to Iraq. The American ambassador to Iraq during the Gulf War was a woman. Saddam called her and said, I have evidence that Kuwait took advantage of our war with Iran to exploit our oil. We want a compensation. The American ambassador told Saddam, those are your affairs. These are not American affairs. Gaddafi, Saddam invaded Kuwait. Who hit Saddam?
The Americans.
So these Europeans, they give you the you can think that you are dealing with it. They divide themselves. American presidents are there for 8 years. Side A makes sure that America remains in the driving seat for the next 50 years. Their interests are different from, look what the way they have done. In Egypt, they abandoned Mubarak. The Secretary of State, Clinton, Hillary, visited even the square, celebrating the victory. The people of Egypt
against Mubarak.
Mubarak was married to a British woman. For her, she went back to Britain. Mubarak was taken to court in a wheelchair, in a stretcher, to cool down the tempers. The Americans could not say that they were the biggest financiers of Mubarak. In Sudan, do you think this younger girl, a campus student, who caused the trouble in southern Sudan, when Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, visited here, I said, Netanyahu is not coming to visit Uganda. Netanyahu was concerned with Sudan, the Sudanese government. Why? Mossad had it that they had incredible information that all of the arms, the small arms that were being used in the West Bank by Palestinians were manufactured in Sudan. Ever since Saddam Bashir was removed, do you see riots in the West Bank at the magnitude that it used to
be before?
You may even ask, immediately the army took over and removed Bashir. They surrendered him to the ICC, but ICC rejected it. Rejected him. Why? Had been blacklisted.
But Mzee, having all this information with you,
why? And
the arrogance of your boss. Your boss comes up and says,
why is it that
we are not in panic?
The new leader in Sudan wanted to open diplomatic relationship with Israel immediately after takeover. So for us, when I'm analyzing the issues, I have time to think about these things. Even Bobi Wine himself should think about Uganda. Those who fought against Gaddafi have not had peace in Libya. I used to go to Libya. You would go to the owner market of Libya and find every crop there, mayuni, everything. Gaddafi had turned the country into a green Samson. Gaddafi's roads were constructed in such a way that once you get sandy dunes blocking the road, the plane would take using the road as tarmac, as a runway. Libya was developed, highly developed. What have they achieved?
Within this time?
What have, after the removal of
chaos, every day, chaos fighting. What
have they achieved in Iraq? What they have achieved in Iraq is elections. Because the Americans are talking about election, democratic values. What has happened in North Korea, between the standoff between North Korea and America? They took their warships as if they were going to attack North Korea. Now is an American territory under international waters, taking advantage of the standoff between. Who negotiated the deal? The South African president. Trump went there, the first American to visit North Korea, to go through the demilitarized zone. Have they rewarded him? They voted him out. So when we are dealing with these Europeans, those of us who have the knowledge and the information about them, we move very cautiously.
But your boss is not moving cautiously. He comes up and says, he's always on the blame side. He does not come up to discipline his own people.
Gaddafi said that those who were fighting him were monkeys. At one time we said it was Al-Qaeda. At one time we said the what? I mean, he said there is no organized army that can be defeated by rebels. Tewali Ejiria, Tedmani, Terigira, Tewali Tendeke, Sola Kuangula Bayekera. Obata used to ask, so he asked a British journalist, why are you talking about Olw'Embeera? Why not Massacre? Why not Machine? Why not Tololo? Yes. When Mwanga was asked about the incident which pitted the actual officers against Langi officers over catches of arms, who would take the artillery, who would take what? Mwanga made a diplomatic statement. It was an uncoordinated troop movement. Yes, me, I see these younger people like this dog treating arrogantly to Pompeo. You are not equal to Pompeo. Where is your diplomacy? This is a matter that must be a query raised by American government. Must be responded to by people from foreign affairs.
I see.
Not this younger man. Because he worked in the monitor. Where else has he worked? He was brought there to fight me because the Wabok wanted to
bundle you out of setups.
Bundle me out. He could not muzzle me, could not fight me, and I've defeated him decisively. No type which nobody arrogant like them. When arrogant fellows fight arrogant fellows, they cannot end. Can you subdue me? You remove, they were switching my programs one after the other. Switch it now. I'm arrogant like them. Era the Baganda have the same. Ezenkanankana nebisiki. Ebisiki shujirogis. You must split the Nkulu into small pieces to catch fire. Kakati nzinaba abana kuli bisiki. Sina chimbala bamu. Tuwali chibagenda kunko. Sidi koleba mu government yabo bagenda kunsanga ludda. But my independence and arrogance has paid. Yes. Have the legacy. Everybody is ringing me.
Of course.
They said that I was inciting people. Me don't incite people. They wanted to remove
the channel.
The channel.
Tamale official. Google replied and told them we cannot respond to such.
Yes.
But I'm saying, it is common for you to tell us that towards the election time you head to the border. Are you organizing yourself to run away?
Now my effort now is to have an election. This week would be for preachers of peace. Even if it requires the president to give religious leaders money. Why do you have a priest in Chotera, Mugisha, is inciting the voters? The archbishop, who is now leading the mitigating exercise, should silence those people. Let them will be arrested. Arrested that man.
Arresting everyone.
Why is it that this Mugisha in Chotera is conducting himself differently from other Catholic
his seniors?
Has he ever been had a vision of the Virgin Mary? Come on, Travuyo. Pereka kwa mabusukalisi. Arrest him.
But he's speaking about two issues that he concern the public.
Challenge Kasolo. He was given man and seat. why does he behave? He's a Mugisha. You know, in my area, in Chotera County, we are of a mix with the Abaziva. There is a place for Banyankoli. If you go to, there is a Gombolola. They have never seen him 7, but they give him 90%. It's called the Kabira. Because when you look at the names of our villages, we have Luankon. What does Luankon mean? Luankon. We have Kabonera. We have Chotera. These are not Uganda names. These are by choosing names, which is even names. But why? What is this Bishop of Masaka, Bishop of Jumba, waiting to sack this man?
No, you called him for disciplinary action.
Yes,
immediately.
Then if he does not listen, we can also incite the population against him. Mumusaga, Gundi, waliwo fast, yagenda. Ngatayagala benale emawokota wane wamiri mutuluza namutwalira ennanga namutwalira ne Gundi alutali enzimba obulungi yaleta embazi n'agitema tayagala enale abakristo bali bamukubi waliwo kristo omulala yagenda mu kinana bamuyitanga mu kaseera nga ali kisubi nga mu Museveni okwekutula akyaliwo waliwo ono Gundi eyasimba omuzinga naga nti nsadde sapule yange omuzinga guno ku malaalo ga Kayira omuzimu gwa Kayira gujja kutta abantu kwali kusaana ono Kiibi eyali wano Rubaga yagamba kolera akalamboko is he there Rubaga jali Rubaga
jali simanyi yakunonyereza ko ndabe jali
Waina Father Chikawa, very powerful priest. Is Father Chikawa there? Do we know even where he is? Did he graduate from a priest to bishop? Even in M.i.S.O. Didn't. So we cannot allow such a people. Why do we have radical Islamic clerics? Lwaki babakwata? Kenya waliwo musajja bamu deporting ne bamuzane wabwe je yava. Go back to Muscat. Yes.
So you're saying this would be the time for religious leaders?
When I'm finalizing, why don't we pay Bobi wine for his song? I
was thinking about that myself.
He is a candidate. He sang it. That was it applying when he was not a candidate, or it applies now?
Of course, it even applies.
Buy that song so that you play it regularly on your, even if it means buying space. Bobi wine from his horse's mouth when he was
a normal man before politics.
He had this in mind. He composed the song.
But of course, he's not propelling people to riot.
Do you keep the votes in your box? Are you keeping them at home? Which one predicted that it came to an end? That pass. You said, Bizem, Tamale Mirundi, Musei Mumugambe, Ebiamulwanya Bizem, Ekakati. How did they go? Yagula Omonabi, Mugali Masanda Muluwe. That's what I don't listen to them. I don't take them serious.
So when you compare the Bizemu and the Kalurikatwaula, you would rather be consider yourself, consider his song.
There was a man, I think it was Moteri. He also composed a song. Tugende, tulunde, fena, tuje Uganda, Munyanga, Okunda Mokuzimba, Uganda, Tuino Kuba Kalulu. It was 1980. But because we don't have people who keep these records, that one is also a good song. If some schools are going back on holiday, but we would have gospel music, composing gospel music in this, even after elections, pay for them to encourage the country to heal. This is look ahead. We can even talk about, I said that if we had the political professors, why don't we talk about the possibility of forming a government of national unity? Why don't we have a possibility of saying we have a Senate also? We can have a Senate because most of these people are talking about politics. Reducing the money, that one you cannot do it because the MPs will decide their future. Olutuka mu parliament million bisatu by'emmotoka tebagigula
yekuba konfu
yes
nakusasula mabanja
because we have made politics we are going to reach a system. Why do you think Kirumira atwala mukazi we mu parliament? Lwaki lwakoje mukazi wali mu parliament? Lwaki ono gundi nefuna ndikadasimu yali agala mukazi we mu parliament? Parliament is no longer parliament. Ababaka parliament bali enguzi.
It's the most lucrative job these days.
Enguzi to them. Business. Tojja kufuna contract nga tulina muntu gwomanyi mu parliament. Kakati between bitegeera to review. We can even have a constitutional review. We must have a substantive minister of youth. Or youth and sports.
Alimwensa.
Yeah. It doesn't matter age. But somebody was come up at the kubaka kati tugenda kufuna. Bana abavubuka between kati abali frustrated. Ati tugenda katibwa akabalala kati ow'emyaka 12 13 mutuze 26
ajja kuba 18 asangewo abanyiivu
ate tugateka abanyiivu kakati we must have an elaborate
yebze wawulidde
okuyigulula bano
ng'okya proposinga akayiba ka Bobi Wine bakagule Ministry of Education I mean eya health yaguza akayimba ekiri mu bbaala yagenze negula musimaka insighting abantu ku covid viraje muberera mu lockdown fetubeera mu bende down
mwenge mu bbala ebyana mu bbala
it's the song that they bought I had they bought
it omuwala ono yayimba nyongere ekisanya niba mwagala nnyo yo nanto yali nanto nimbaga that song has nothing to do with election ekisanja means kyonyina abakazi babiri noganti give me more
time.
Otherwise, it had nothing apart from mentioning ekisanja. Tebali gye bakimanyi. Kati omwenge mu bbaala, bawita mu bbaala, ebyana mu bbaala. A man who is praising a bar. What happens in a bar?
This song says,
how does it come? Across egundi
scold tumbi za sound je muberera mu lockdown bo babera mu bend down.
Auntie, you tell me ani mwabo a media expert era my suggestion is if we want to redeem the newspapers the media in Uganda we cannot change obwavu obuli mawulire kubanga media has not attracted serious investors. Tetulina okukola kiri kimu tiwali badde ogula equipment lwaki Munnamawulire agenda bamukube tear gas. Why don't you get your Zoom? Ogenda mu gundi mu riot ng'otaddeko ki jacket nti press nga abasajja bakuba emiggo tebaagala bategeere
nti tukuba emiggo.
So the training must change. Era nze badde mbagamba nti neeyo media yeetaagamu abantu buno obwala bwe babadde baleeta bakateeka mu media stage bakasobola kukwata ku programu zange bakakuba ne bakatta. Get a serious person who can talk to these people. Get a don, a university don. Funa Nsonga, Professor Nsonga. Funa Peter Mwesigi, uba Lugalambi, uba obwa minister bwazi. Information.
Wateke M.i.S.O.
Minister of Information must be headed. You look. Mbagamba bulijjo. It has a Minister of Information, Joseph Gwabazi, with the most powerful minister. Why? Tudabona musajja wa Saddam yalinga kazanyiriza nenga kwenti kishawe tukyakirina. All of the people disappeared and he remained the face of the regime. Naye okulowooza tutekona abakola sente tuzibbe tutekawukana akabala mu gonde mu yosese kagane ebyamirundi temusobola mbakubye nemba mala ukwata bakwasa omuntu bakuba omuntu ogwo bagwasa. Those ones have no sympathy. Akakagulupu k'abaana sikalinako sympathy at all. Kalinako sakulwa mu kimu ense ebitegeera obwana obwo bwekweka. Tusumune a new paradigm, a new beginning. Bobi Wine is not from the opposition. We need to start opposition politics. Next time I will tell you, if you want a leader to lose power, you don't threaten him. We need to change rules. Nabana ababye sente za government. As long as sente ze wabba oziteeka mu social sector tikirina buzibu tuzikulekere nenga sizagula bululu kati babba buli wamu
agula ba candidate baveemu
bwe munaagula obululu eri gye kijja okutandikira. Allow our people to vote freely parliament LCs celebrating nabagandi Museveni's miracle eri mu politics nature politics as raised claims nti bamubye his MPs celebrate
that if tuwangudde nga mukama wawe yaka
abana abalowa ranks ba MPs ba chairman ba 5 ba councillors nabo jja kuba the trouble will come from the village and the engulf the city. We should electoral commission must ensure fairness. Me, I don't mind. Even if NRM does not get the majority in the parliament, what have we been getting from the majority of parliament? Museveni campaigns for them. When they come to parliament, any serious bill, they demand money, like a prostitutes. So if they are prostitutes,
they belong to NRM. And they don't pass anything for free.
But what do you say? So let the electoral commission ensure. Because for the presidency, it's not a matter. I've been telling you, a monarchical institution, people don't care about the longevity of a leader as long as he delivers. Who is talking about the removal of the Kabaka? Although king is abdicated, queen is abdicated, the queen of England has remained there. Amye Charles, Charles tajja kufuga. Ajja kuwa bazzukulu be, kati ne bazzukulu be batandise okutabuka. Bapulifaringa kuzannya firimu kusinga ki. So he has been longer. The Pope looked at Uganda, that we divided into tribal wound. Nala be chiri mu Anglican Church. Nala be migge jiri mu muzikiti. What did the Pope do? Divided Uganda into 5 archdioceses.
Buli omu n'amuwa.
One of the Uganda yetuukira Rome. Ow'Ettolo yetuukira Rome. Ow'Ennyamikyanga yetuukira Rome. Ono w'Erubaga Archbishop. Alinga Katikkiro wa Buganda. There is peace in the Catholic Church. Are we talking about a cardinal? Bali babala
mwekibalemya nti
kyegamba
yomu arrogance wakutte tayagala kuta
abantu b'omukyalo nga bawangudde akalulu kaabwe naye gwe n'ogamba era sente zayingidde miliyoni 2 baswalidde kasolo ago. I've been hearing them ugundi omusajja atugamba ti mirundi yabakwata naye ebyuma ebyo Museveni yabimuwa tajja byemujjako timugamba nti chairman yabadde agamba nti banne be bamulyamu olwo ne mukubira essimu ayiranga the man Kisekulo why do you think that Kasolo gets whatever you say kakati ate nga yiki Sekulu agamba Kasolo yabintu ne mugamba no you are recorded by your people bajje mu underwear tiyasanze muli code nemba gamba you check them inside their buttocks tiyasanze because Kisekulo cannot believe that I have machines who cover the whole country yet it is taken away. Why do you fight Kasolo? Nemutto omuntu nemutwala sente ate nga kumulwanira sente gye bazijja zeenaale ate balwanyisa weenaale mu minister tikuba ayina emyonga who gave him emyonga nti kubanga Kasolo bwagwa Museveni ajja kulonda omulala in the drawing of the list they will influence Museveni okuteekawo puppet waabwe mwateeka puppet mu ministry ya energy $40,000 million Museveni n'aziyimirira nga bagenda kuzibba gwalowooza kitutu anadda mu energy
simanyi
Museveni would overhaul his government kubanga bano babbanga sente bagule abalonzi kati sente ziri mayumba gaabwe abalonzi bagaaya mwakwatanga sente mugule baakusaasira be baafunamu have you seen Balaam who was the leader of buying people has disappeared like Ogonolia Tango Odoi who caused trouble nakkiriza ab'NRM ne baviolating COVID rules is hiding himself like Ogonolia he doesn't want even to be mentioned where he is kuba tamanyi wekinaagwira but if you're around uyo yangambo Tango Odoi yagamba bwamuleke flock I sleep in the swamp nemuga yes I sleep in the swamp nisifanana ngaggo okuzimba ennyumba ettolo wamala kujja mu electoral commission mwenye wamala kujja mukakiko n'obaka abantu miliyoni 2 n'obagamba nti ogenda baka eryalingira academic papers zaabwe didn't do it
ne basigala nga abagobayo mu parliament
same challenges over academic papers simufaanana kubanga sikola bintu bye short term so I appeal to Ugandans the only organization umbrella organization we have is for religious leaders. President Museveni should facilitate the religious leaders. And it wouldn't be a bad idea for the Pope to ring Bobi Wine. Mukatuliki. Hey, yagenze Rubaga nali usia nakola ki. Good gesture. Kakati abo religious leaders can make their go on the group strong with the facilitation from the president, meet or invite all of these presidential candidates, including the president, where we should start programs on TV, on radio, even if they are sponsored by the government, for religious leaders who are preaching peace. We should also give examples of countries like Mali, after the disputed election. Countries like Libya. Libya is worse than it was. In fact, in many Libyans prefer Gaddafi now. If Gaddafi understands now, he will win. Because these people, by removing Gaddafi, they satisfied themselves and they went away. The Americans were interested in Gaddafi. Why? Gaddafi sponsored terrorists who planted a bomb in the Pan American Airlines. Are we going to condone terrorism activities because they have been committed by a rich man? Yes, as well, locally. Nabangers and the battle of Musajja, Bamtwala, Scotland, where the terrorism law is weak. But America insisted, this is not your plane. This is our plane. Although most of the passengers were afraid. So these Europeans, these Americans have their interest. Even omugole, omukazi gwano banaddeyo wabbaawo, alina okumanya ani amugaana okuddayo. Ali interested mu marriage, alina gwamwagaza oba amufitira. Oba balenzi bakukyali. This is one. Bwe mubanga mugenda okuwasa, your brother surrenders you to the future husband. Why? Takwina mu interest.
Of course.
Bajja musekerera nti ekyo family yabo tefumbira. So to get the off mubawalabu, if they call it a family glory. Family glory, if a girl gets involved in sexual activities before marriage, they can be hid her as far as it's a family. So at times it becomes a personal issue, at times it becomes a country issue, at times it becomes an individual issue.
But I've never heard you telling the people who have been in power for 30 years to consider themselves time out.
And no.
Why don't you speak about that side?
The issue is not
Let's say people have had enough of you. Give space.
You don't have term limits. Term limits means that you have a limit. But even in America, where they have term limits, Trump went bragging it. He said, you wait for me. So Bauer is not easy. What is important in Britain, they don't have term limits. But the Prime Minister can be removed by his or her party. Such was removed by her party. As long as this man is not starting alone, he is not running a single party state. What's wrong with Museveni standing with others? He went through. But for me, what I want from Museveni and Tanda is to help us have another succession. 5 years should be an assignment, these assignment years. He must help us find why the structures he put in place, the innovations, the elections, regular elections, human rights. Museveni is a person who initiated the human rights.
But are you sure he's winning?
Commission on human rights.
Are you sure he's winning this election?
Yes, I'm sure.
Yes. How sure are you?
I'm sure. Why?
Because you'd be speaking now as a candidate he could lose.
People are using what I call the Savimbi seal. Savimbi said, if you don't vote me, my defeat will lead to resumption of war. The people of Angola refused. Even his generals abandoned him. All of these things they are saying, why do you believe that Museveni will be defeated? Yeah.
The same way shouldn't be believing that Bobi Wine should be defeated.
Uganda needs an experienced hand. Has Bobi Wine been a super chairperson? How long has he been in the business and in parliament? Many times he does not attend. So Museveni has raised the bar for future presidents. This is how I look at it. That's why I said.
But he never had experience when he was coming.
If he gets an additional 5 years, the people are talking about his conduct, the people are talking about his limitations in education, he can go to and upgrade his education. By the time of 5 years, he has achieved a lot. Bobi Wine has achieved more than basic gold. Bobi Wine has achieved more than smuggled gold. Bobi Wine has been, I think, the best opposition leader we have ever produced in this country. So he should not undermine what he has done, his achievements. He must have time to consolidate on them.
Of course. All right. Thank you for watching in today. Mutabani wa Mole n'abatovu mirundi yabaddewo lwakuba tombuulidde oba
oteekateeka okugenda ku booda wagamba olukalulu obeera eri ku booda
depending on the atmosphere. But I'm seeing Ugandans, and unless Ugandans are incited, I'm seeing a peaceful election. Apart from the people who died during the riots, how many have we lost? Have you seen people maybe because of COVID? But I know people drink beer. Where do you see these trailers carrying beer? It means they're drinking, people are drinking. Have you seen the sharp dick right in the beer living? No. Why is it that people have not fought in the bars, in the hiding places? Why is it that people are not, we have not seen domestic violence arising from differences in the political parties or support? On COVID, we had a number of homicides. Why are we not seeing this? It means Ugandans can only kill themselves unless there is somebody who has cited them against each other.
Of course.
We are a peaceful country.
Okay. Thank you for watching in Mbadde Kanga Capital kubaweereza tubasiibudde mweraba.